Hello everyone, this is Fantastic Worlds, looking back to Lovecraft Country and Secret World Interludes, the series in which we take a deeper dive into the locations and lore of the Secret World. And here we are back at Tokyo, the Nagahama district, in fact, which could effectively be called, in a more mundane sense, the Old Town. This is the section of town that existed before the rings of skyscrapers and other, shall we say, gentrified areas around it extended it from like a core. Now, this section is still remaining intact, primarily because it is a residential section, and as such, it is filled with people. And when people die this many in a small location, you get ghosts everywhere, which is one of the main problems we're dealing with at the moment. As you can see, however, this is where the working class live and die. Yeah, at least they're wearing suits, right? As well as you have incorporating several archaic structures, such as the shrine here, which essentially only exists as the top. Now, another section to be dealing with, of course, is down here. Hang on, the cemeteries. Now, the cemeteries are haunted by the Kyonashi, which are an interesting contrast between the Eastern and Western ghosts. The Western ghosts tend to see ghosts as monsters in the literature. You basically find the magic dagger, or the ritual, whatever it is, and then you banish them far and away, or destroy them, or send them back to hell, or whatever it is. But the dead are kind of eternal in the Japanese, existing, and you usually, if you've seen any J-horror, you know their opinion about how killable they are. You can't kill the dead. So therefore, they have to be either pacified by creating a lovely environment with tended shrines that let them know that they are remembered and honored, and no need to get up and stare at their own statues and potentially kill us poor guy and bees. Oh, that wasn't intentional. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to actually do that. Yes, this is what happens when you move your keyboard slightly. Oh, right. I gotta find this damn thing. Right. Oh, God, that's the problem. You gave it like 3 seconds. Ow. Oh, no. Not in the mood. No. This. Now you know why I don't like these guys. I'm leaving. You can have the graveyard. Yeah, as you can see, J-horror. Would you start, like, evading or something? Thank you. Alright, so that happened. My apologies. I pressed the wrong button and did an area attack and attracted one of them, which was my bad on that one. Anyways, yes, basically the idea is to keep them pacified as opposed to trying to combat them directly, because that wakes them up further and they get more and more irritated. In fact, if any of you actually saw the the Grudge films, I once asked somebody who's a little more knowledgeable about that why they didn't just burn the house down, because it really went into the house, you know, got tracked by her and killed, and it spread like a virus. Why destroy the source? And they pointed out the house itself was kind of acting, in the Japanese myth, it would be acting as sort of an internal barrier of sorts. Nobody enters the property, nobody gets affected, but destroy the house, and she, whatever that particular long-haired female killer ghost was called, can't remember, unfortunately. They all tend to blend together after a while. What that one was called would be looser. Not that she tended to be, like, you know, terribly confined in the duration of the movies. I think, frankly, she got to America in some of the terrible sequels and remakes, so yeah, I don't think the house thing worked out too well. As you can see, we're still back through here, but let's see. Yep, we're heading over towards the next section, by the wall.
Local bounty detected. Initiating.
All right, so the lore on the wall, which is a thing, by the way, there is an entire lore section devoted to just the wall, and I managed to collect all of them. Oh, gods. Guys, right, okay, sure. You too? You too. Alright, so that's over. Yeah, I was going to say, the wall here was an attempt to contain the filth. Now, the thing is, it really seems kind of odd, by the way, that the filth creatures would be kind enough, as you can see, how put that position list, to let them build it in the first place, but that's actually kind of a humorous thing. You see, first of all, the reason why the filth doesn't spread beyond the wall is not because of any physical barriers. If you recall, the filth is...
Additional assignment received.
Oh, for crying out loud. How many of these do I go through this thing? Anyways, as you can see, the filth is a spiritual contamination. Therefore, it radiates out from the initial attack period, which is back there at the... which was back there at the subway station where John detonated the bomb, and they created a rift in reality where the two realities overlap, the dreamer's reality and, of course, the Gaia's reality, which is the one we're currently dealing with, is where these filth creatures can actually survive. Without the energy of the breach, they literally could not exist because our laws of reality, as defined by Gaia, there we go, as defined by Gaia, would not permit them to exist. But the Dreamers are a virus. They're trying to overwrite the reality of Gaia, which is what this whole invasion thing is about.
Assignment received.
Now, if we fail, by the way, if the bees narratively fail to contain the filth infection at all the sites we're directed to during the course of the game, the Gaia will have the world engines detonated and reset the... oh, you again? Seriously? Well, and reset the universe entirely. Ooh, there's... Oh, God. I gotta go back and get that. We'll sit and reset the whole thing entirely. In fact, you'll end up with, an entirely different rules, the entire different reality. All right, so I probably should drop down from the other side over there. But as you can see, what happens is as the zone spread, the creatures basically walked up to the wall. And then they started going through it, because there's literally no impediment to them. They're super strong, and they have the... Oh! Dude, I was monologuing. Oh, let's see my kills for the day. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get up that way, so we're going to have to drop down from over there. Assuming I can get over there. Do I really want to try to ride that filth bridge? Probably not. Anyways, but, as I was saying... Oh, for crying out loud. Just chill, guys. But this, of course, they instantly breached it, which basically means that they were, this whole thing was just a waste of taxpayer money. Well, practically everything in this game's in real life, going to the government is a waste of money. But in this case, this particular waste of money was in a desperate attempt by the Japanese to contain something they did not understand. Oh, God, I wish I could understand that graffiti. But yeah, it's interesting they put it into English as well. I guess it's for our benefit, as the primary audience for Secret World, of course.
Back, or we shall be forced to cancel your life.
Well, it's nice of you to warn me, at least. Although, why didn't you attack these guys? Ugh. Oh, wait, now these guys are involved. Ugh. Right then. But let's talk about Orochi, because we know Orochi built that wall. Obviously the quality, or lack thereof. But we also know Orochi, we already went over how they went to tanks, and tanks are almost utterly useless in an urban environment such as this, unless you're overrunning and destroying the city, which is not what Orochi was planning on doing.
Assignment received.
As far as I can tell. But the facilities here, as well as the hospital and the pharmacy, which we know are the secret laboratories for creating more cyborgs from one of the other missions previously, and the compromised robots that John took over after their filth-infected donors were used, and even that, the filth infection was their own doing. Excuse me. So John gets to play with these like they're his tin soldiers. Alright, cool. So, yeah. The thing is that once the breach happened, of course, any wall once breached is utterly useless, which is why building a wall in any border of any country that you want to talk about is doomed in the long run. All it takes is one block of Semtex, a ladder, or a tunnel. But anyways, let's do what the monsters did and jump the fence.
Local bounty detected.
Now this puts us over here on Orochi territory. Now if the Orochi Tower over there, Orochi pretty much owns this entire neighborhood. After all, they are the primary employer. They probably donate to all the politicians to make sure that they control the local policy. And of course, they probably control it at the national legislature level as well. But the brunt of that is this entire neighborhood on this side of the wall was once Orochi territory. And
You are not authorized.
Great, I'm leaving. Don't worry about
You
it.
are not authorized.
Who is? Okay, so after that crash. Anyways, yeah. So the thing is, this is Orochi's corporate park, as it were, consisting of the docks in that direction, the tower in that direction, with when it was operational, a train to take both personnel from the stations over there and, of course, cargo from the port, and then bring them to and from the tower. Now, the thing is that this entire area, of course, these cyborgs were patrolling probably not during normal times. There would have been human guards, because this entire place is off limits to the public. Excuse me. In fact, these subway tunnels represent the only way of getting into the tower during the lockdown, and only after John unlocks them for you. Which makes you kind of think about the fact that Orochi is screwed in any case. But anyways, yeah. As you can see, cargo trains, probably liquid nitrogen gas if people were lucky, and filth if we're not, as well as the passenger train over on this section. And as you can see, the guards are probably here on... Excuse me. Guards have probably been here since the crisis occurred, because that would be where they'd be ordered to go in the middle of a
You
crisis.
will come back, or we shall be forced to cancel your life.
What probably happens is that if there is a certain point...
Or we shall be forced to cancel your life.
You still following me? God, I hope not. So yeah, this of course
You
is
are
where
not authorized.
Special
are not
assignment
authorized.
received.
yeah,
Initializing.
company housing, yeah. As you can see, this is harder to do, by the way, on these sections that I still attract crowds. When you're level 50, when you get to a certain point, you don't attract monsters below a certain level, and now, unfortunately, I'm back into sections that I attract everybody. But as you can see, passengers and cargo trains to move between sections, and they keep the whole thing self-contained, because this is, in fact, a company town, which means they control the market, they control the housing costs, they control the amount you spend for everything, and can make sure that you actually have no profits whatsoever remaining from your paycheck. Doesn't matter. So, by the way, company towns, Amazon... just last week, and before this recording, obviously, in 2021, has announced that they will be creating company towns for their employees, for the people who can't, afford rent. They can now live surf-like on their master's estate. But in any case... Oh, for crying out loud. Not interested. Well, my filth kill numbers are going up, at least. But, as you can see, the company housings for Orochi, at least, is somewhat individualistic. I mean, they're still going for the faux brick of the old town to make it kind of blend in better, but all these were constructed probably within the space of a few months. Designed to make people who are already, living in the sections of the old town, the previous employees, feel more at home. This always freaks me out every time I see it. Alright, so let me get to some relatively space spot. But, of course, with people, you have to have... Okay, so that's crash number 2 in this episode. Apparently the servers are in tip-top shape at the moment. But yes, here we are over at the elementary school. Now, remember, the elementary school, again, Orochi was using it to test kids for psychic potential in order to be able to kidnap them. Then Young came along, and, well, he's psychic enough that the person who came for him, he, kindly told him to stop breathing. So Young is problematic. Now, the thing is, he's powerful enough to keep all of the other infected out and produce the only safe zone in this entire neighborhood. But I'm guessing he's stuck here, and you better hope that the supply of juice boxes in there holds out. Remember, we're in a time window, so we keep coming back to the same point where he is here. But time moves forward, obviously, when we're not looking, and when we're not here. Because when we skip to South Africa, we go ahead about 6 months per usual. So, I don't know if he could be rescued himself, just walked out and made all the abominations do so. But the question is, would he? Well, we can actually try to find out. Ooh, my goodness. We're going to find out quite a few things. Well, the man is psychic, after all. And yes, I'm referring to him as the man because he's... Oh, God, I'm just hope you don't get what that bird crap and those things must be like. Anyways, tell me about yourself, young.
My biography would not command a high word count. I have not lived very long. Not in real time. In dream time, however, I have lived a vastly more... Well, that is a subject too complex to explain to you in this venue. I could squeeze it directly into your mind, but it would hurt, and that is not polite.
Ethos is very important. Remember, we are both beings of power, so it would be rude to hurt each other. He can screw with my head and I can set him on fire, because I'm pretty willing to sure the buzzing could block him, being the consensus of millions of previous Vs.
I was born. My intelligence and psychic abilities were noticed soon after I was born. The capacity to move objects, project images, sift through the thoughts of others. I cannot imagine I was easy to care for in that larval stage, thinking only larval thoughts. What is more primordial than an infant? What is closer to the waters of our amphibian ancestry? What is further from morality? I vaguely remember the faces of my caretakers. The turnover rate was frightfully high.
It's true, an infant is by nature incapable of morality, and it's just their powerlessness that prevents them from doing great harm. However, Young was able to do great harm from young, and he does at least seem to be remorseful for what he's done. The thing is, by the way, being closest to amphibian, by the way, from coming out of the womb, because of course it is an aqueous environment, is also where the horror, Lovecraft's original concept of the deep ones, and of course the deeper creatures we have out there in the water in this game come from that concept as well, and it's in the Buzzing's lore. That that is essentially the idea that we have these primordial beings, this earlier versions of ourselves locked away, and we evolve through them, but they're still there underneath the surface and can resurface, if you go to the wrong town in New England.
I was enrolled in Orochi's Rising Star program. Never mind my real name. That's locked away in their vaults and mainframes. They called me Subject 28.
To the flashing.
Later, they called me Hyung, for my propensity in quoting the famous psychologist.
His thoughts on the collective unconsciousness. Apparently there's something wrong with that line. Alright, tell me about Tokyo.
Since the explosion, I have had trouble sensing anything outside Kaiden. The static disruption is significant. And perhaps malevolent.
John. Yeah, that's the thing, is that he can't... John is blocked in here, but he's also blocking anybody else's. Now, at the end of the Tokyo storyline, we accidentally release him, which I think he makes at least one appearance in the South African campaign. If I saw an aside comment somebody told me about, I don't know about that now. I haven't gotten to that point. But essentially, now he's released in that section of the game. He could do a significant amount of damage, but he's kind of reticent to do so. He's probably harder to control within a larger area. When he was contained within Kaiden, he could do so much. He was a god of a small domain, but a larger one probably takes far too much for him to focus.
The world is not secret to me. All of your minds scream so loudly. I see everyone around me hiding behind glass. Everything is transparent. A rather terrible aquarium. And I keep looking.
Yes, when you don't have secrets from someone, you need to be yourself and not lie. And decide, of course, that you have to accept what you've become.
Their minds are highly conditioned.
Oh, right.
All of the defining sharp angles and edges worn down to a bovine dullness. Their mindscapes look just like those of the morning light. Only a different season.
spring instead of winter. The Fear Nothing Foundation is what we just asked about. I should have said that previous to asking the question, but the thing is, he's pointing out that they are conditioned to become the same mentality. Now, in the South African campaign, there is a speech that they give the people doing the telemarketers, and probably more often other places, where they say that you are the mouths of the new event horizon, essentially equating them with the dreamers. So the whole point is to erase the previous self, conditioning through the Fear Nothing Foundation, of course, Morning Light itself, to allow the dreamers to come in and manipulate them as a mass mind, basically being like, hey, living zombie horde, which, you know, it pretty much explains what the, how do I say this, any sort of totalitarian construct, be that real, imagined, fantasy, or mundane, seeks to do the human race. Orochi.
Orochi controlled the specialized school system, their rising star program. Their hubris was so obnoxious, as was being taught by people whose intelligence was several orders of magnitude below mine. To be constantly surrounded by such people. I do my best to be patient and polite. Like right now, for example.
Yeah, well, Depster Dude's not the A class when it comes to intelligence. His primary job is to set things on fire and occasionally get blown up. So, yeah. But the thing is, we're not trying to instruct him. The White Rabbit.
I could detect an erratic collection of thoughts. Hippity-hoppity thoughts. They hopped around so fast. It was as if they were in many places at once. They are very nasty thoughts. And very, very fast, even for the speed of thought.
Now, the White Rabbit is, of course, the killer we pursued during the Tokyo campaign and later fought. Now, it turned out to be triplets. Now, the thing is that I believe he's referring to the fact that triplets may actually be manifestations of the same consciousness, which is, I don't know the story to, unfortunately. I checked. I think the lore drops are extremely uncommon. You can only get them in the fight with the three White Rabbit killers just before you talk to Lilith. I'd have to run that. I'd have to grind that mission over and over again. Not really going to be doing that. I could probably, and I looked it up to say, yeah, to get the general idea of what she was. But the thing is, she didn't play a major part in the story, so probably not a rabbit hole. Haha. That's too deep to dive in. Anyways, tell me about Ground Zero.
Signal is cutting off its own patterns, shedding what's left of its identity, so that it can become something else.
Yeah, it's John. John is basically losing his humanity to become part of the Dreamer Collective, which... Now, the problem being... Okay, so people have said the problem with John, by the way, is that he will teach the Dreamers how to be like a human being, and they'll be indestructible, except for one thing. People seem to forget the concept of the Filth is to erase individuality and return it back to a primordial, tentacled, carnivorous, thoughtless state, which is what's going to happen to John as well. It doesn't matter what information he has. It'll all be devoured into static. And then he'll just be another one of the screaming masses within the Dreamers themselves, and we know that he fails, because like I keep saying before, there's a sequel set in 2046, and nobody's talking about tentacles coming out of the Earth and eating people in that one. Mars, yes, but not Earth. So, yeah. Thing is that, John, hate to say it to you, you are your own worst enemy.
I'm not surprised I was left behind. I am certainly not bitter.
Nope.
My gifts allow me to protect myself and this playground. It is mine now. All of the past humiliations here are just echoes. They are nothing. Loneliness is just craving for something containing naught but empty calories.
Now, this is actually understandable, is that he has to not be himself around other people because he's too powerful and too intelligent. He'll intimidate them all. And we all know that humankind does not take that well. Oosh. Okay, so, right. So we're going to run to check this section back here, and then I'll probably head over the docks. Just trying to make... Yes, I have. Okay, let's going to try to slip through here because it is annoying. But yeah, in the back here, you have a Shinto shrine, which unfortunately I am not highly versed on Eastern traditions, so can't give you huge...
Local bounty detected.
Oh, look, lore. Maybe it has something over here. Maybe we can find something while we're here. Happy coincidence. All right, yeah. The Maiden Shrine, Ribcage. Okay. And Kami, Vibrant Pure. Okay. So, yes, essentially what they have is inside of each one of these is supposedly an artifact of a holy nature. Now, this is similar to the Western traditions of enshrining how do I put this? Ooh, stack of open. That'll work. I guess I need
Quick
these.
access inventory updated.
God, so I guess I have shift 2. That would have worked. Anyways, my apologies. But yeah, as you can see here, with fire, of course, is a form of purification, and the containment, and it's next to an actual animal well. This area containing the shrine's essence would be boosted, and it would hopefully provide good fortune to everyone who came here. Now, the shrines themselves and their relationship to living areas is got to be an interesting combination, because, for example, here, it's all but useless for the company housing over there because it's got running water blocking it, and that would cause the energy to shred. But oh my god. You put vending machines in your sacred site? No wonder it got defiled. Ugh, that's just... Oh, wait. Oh, well, I guess it's not your sacred site. It's just the area where you get those little rental boats. Somehow that's worse. Anyways, yeah. And as you can see... God, Swan Poke rating rentals. I always like to check to see if there's anything hidden around here. And I was right. Haha. Getting kind of obsessive about that. Well, these sort of games kind of... Alright. Ari the Dispossessed, she purifies the shrine, she practices old divination rituals and sacred dances, she talks to the fake swans, they talk back, the Sugami have a voice. Ari wants to be a true shaman of legend, but lents her lack of obvious power in swordsmanship. Didn't know swordsmanship was the thing that you needed to. I wonder if it was similar to the concept of the Sword Saint in there, as you're supposed to be willing to defend it with your life. And she misses the fact that in the modern ages, there's literally no reason to be a shrine maiden. It's all just, leftover. I mean, the thing is, the fact is, it is completely defiled here. So whatever. Okay, lady, I'm gone. All right. Oh, come on. Keep your purple energy thing away from me. Alright, good. But it is the one touch of nature that you're going to find this entire area. Unfortunately. Alright, so... yeah, we don't want to really mess with anybody. So in this case, it really doesn't form anything but a park. Oof. That's a little freaky. Yeah, this section right here, there's supposed to be an open gateway to hell right there, but it doesn't trigger properly sometimes. I did try this mission for recording purposes, and it didn't pop up. So that's one of the reasons why this section, but supposedly this is one of the invasion sites, which is, of course, next right to a shrine, which means that the shrine is absolutely powerless, because, first of all, remember, one, not only is the entire area been infested by dreamers... oh, dude. Oh. It's been a while since I've used this build. Been using an ice and gun build, which I kind of think is fun. Ice and pistol. But it's too weak to use in a high-level area. Otherwise, with the new gunslinger outfit I've got going here, which I think is kind of cool. Thanks. Alright. Yeah, which I think is kind of cool, especially with the scarf there. But, it doesn't quite match the elementals.
Special assignment received. Initializing.
I keep getting interrupted by you. It's a bit annoying. Anyways, so as you can see, like I said, the entire section here is just a park. It has no holiness. And of course, remember, according to the game, it is the stories that empower a thing. Nobody believes in the stories of the Shinto shrines. No one believes in that sort of thing. They only think of it as a tradition to be maintained. Why are you... I don't want to know. But I can get this to the wall, so I don't really care that much. Oh, wow. Okay. That's the thing. They're talking about that one entry talks about it did have power once upon a time. It did have the last section of what considered to be holiness, but mankind just built around it and turned its back and wandered into the urban centers to create the pollution that the filth would feast upon. One of the running considerations in the mythos of this game is that the corruption of the human race is one of the things that welcomes the filth. Because, again, it's corruption, which means it loses the essential nature of what it was to be a human. And what you consider to be a human, in its natural state, not a barbarian, perhaps more of a spiritual connection to the world itself, would have been able to resist the dreamers better. Okay, I keep apologizing. The servers today seem to be having a hell of a time. They keep crashing on me. I'm going to try to get this episode done with less disruption as possible, but of course, hands are tied in a bit. Of course, you remember the Security 5, the one the kid has been pretending
You
to
are
be...
not authorized. You are not authorized.
Road! That's you. You did that, didn't you? Sigh, or whatever. Anyways, the kid is pretending as a self-aware robot that sends us on missions. It doesn't have any questions, though. I mean, we can't even do the kid. See, I'll actually pop over there and show you at this point, but there are no, if we've got the opportunity, if there's time in the episode, but there are no ways you can question the kids through the door. There's no animation for it, and I guess they didn't want to record dialogue that sounded like being shouted through a door, so everything you learn about them is during their episodes. Excuse me. But let's talk about the dock. Now, what's interesting
Local
is that
bounty detected. Initiating.
if you collect the lore fragments, there's an entire story about that ship over there, the one that brought all the infected fungus, and how it brought something back from South Africa. Ooh. That the dream infected... Oh, excuse me, lady. I'm so terribly sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you there. I think we're done here. But as you can see, the dock itself, containing liquid storage here, is every time brought something from South Africa that drove the crew mad, and when they landed here, it infected everything right on top of ground zero and everything else. That's why the intensity of the infection is so much larger. And the fact is also they brought back fungus samples, which turned into these giant infected apes and the living, mushrooms that are always stalking and killing us. Haha. Fungal stock. Guys, it's a joke only another biologist would get, but yeah, look at those things. The thing about fungus, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but it will kill us all. You see, fungus is the default the decomposer. If nothing else gets to a body, the fungal spores that we all carry on us with all times will, of course, simply devour it themselves. But by doing so, they'll create such a large fruiting body that they'll begin the process of creating a carpet that will, in time... Oh, excuse me. Now, was that good for anyone? I don't know, do I have the right thing here? Hang on, maybe I'll do a quick one. Let's see if we've got the door. Alright, come on, let's go. Yep, there's a fungal ape lord. I guess we have to trigger him. Well, that didn't work for you, huh? Yeah, these containers are always a fun little mission, by the way. Hang on. Alright, you're actually a new kill for me. Ooh, I got pants. Bloodied pants. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but at least I got several thousand of the shards for it. Yeah, the containers back here, what happens if you get these little keys, by the way, which are always kind of interesting. You go to the right container, the right key, and you get a little boss fight, which, as you can see, is not really much of a challenge for me at the moment. But it represents all these specimens that have been kept here for months, just waiting to get out and spoiling for a fight with one of Gaia's chosen. But yeah, the thing is, of course, like I was saying before, the fungus, if it's unchecked, becomes a carpet, begins to spread into living things, infects them with their tissues. It's generally not a good sign. I mean, it's worse. That thing over there gives you an idea of where this all ends up, because fungal creatures can actually form colonies to work together in the same fashion that a multi-celled organism can do so. Excuse me. Lichen, for example, is a combination of fungus and algae, which has, of course, combined together to be able to consume rock. The fungus eats the rock, and the algae produces the sun energy required to be able to do such an intensive reaction. So yeah, is this thing happening over here? This is the apocalypse in slow motion, because getting rid of these things is tough, and sometimes burning doesn't even work. It just spreads them further. So this is why we have things like, crows and maggots and bugs, other types of bugs, and everything else that eats food, because, eats dead things because you want to get them up before all of the fungus begins to start carpeting and then controlling, and everything looks like a John Carpenter horror film, and then everything's just kind of done. Now, the thing is, of course, is that the filth behaves a lot like fungus in a lot of ways, and the fact that it is a corruptive force, although it's more viral than fungal. But it consumes, it controls. Like, if you know anything about cordyceps, if you've played, The Last of Us, fungus can actually enter into the nervous system of being and take it over. Now, that's also what the filth can do. So, combining the two creates some of the worst nightmares in the goddamn game. Like that thing. Fruiting body. See? There goes the carpet. Yeah, what did I say? There goes the carpet right there, fast motion. Anyways, they begin to completely take over, colonize, and create an alien environment. Who needs Geiger meat moss around the walls when you've got fungus everywhere? Because the fungus is actually trying to eat you. Oh, gods, I don't want to know. What the hell was that? Gonna find out, aren't I? I'm not kind of that stupid. King Kong going down there. Ah, there it is. There we go. Try to avoid you all. He's got a good view up here of the tanker. But yeah, this is Orochi's classic hubris in faction. They thought they could just take something from the Dreamers and stick it on a ship and it would infect all the crew, which of course it has. We do find out in the mission with the captain's think, and then direct them to come in and infect Tokyo with fungoid creatures. Oh, excuse me. See, there's the captain. Oh, for crying out loud. Take a seat. It's the human-like cries that get me, really, sometimes. But yeah, as you can see, the entire vessel itself was taken over and used as a colonization in the, biological sense vessel. In other words, the group mind of the fungus took over the crew and with dreaming drove it the rest of the way to Tokyo, where in fact it now becomes an infection vector in a place that really doesn't need any because John blew himself up there. Somehow containing it all in one place is relatively good, I assume, but the only way to get rid of it would be like with a nuclear explosion, and I don't feel like doing this fight again. Love the magic bee power. Right, guys, just hold on, I'll be gone in a second. Ooh, what's really interesting is, can we get down there? Anything down there? Probably not. But I'm just always kind of crazy about looking into these places. Also, swimming is a good way to get away from these things, because they don't seem to like water. My guess is the saline content that just kind of, that probably poisons their fungoid nature. And also, being salt water is considered a form of purification. It can be because of a complex metaphysical nature, or the fact that, like in the game, I said before in this game, what you believe to some degree is true, in consensus reality as it's sometimes called, that means that the salt works against them, which is good, because they need something to contain these things. But, oh, good lord. We're just finding legends everywhere today. Yep, the cargo. Uh-huh. Yep, the jizz of the black... God, the jizz of the black worm. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, he lost his mind. They carried a dread burden that contained the liquid dreams of the... Yep, they basically... It's a tanker containing filth, and it took over everyone, and then the fungus took over the dreamer-infected people, and they turned into a giant colonization project, and they came to infect Tokyo, only they're about, I guess, a few weeks too late. John's already been here, and I blame this all on the goddamn Samuel. I mean, his dedication to the lack of safety is something to be admired. I mean, he doesn't actually think of humans as people. He thinks of them as nothing more than clever apes, and that he will dispose of them for his purposes to get whatever he wants. Yeah, the thing is, since I work for the Illuminati, I have exactly zero moral platform to be disagreeing with his position on things. Anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna, before I crash this time around, I'm just gonna jump to the next section and finish this off. Hang on. So now we've returned back to the only part of the Tokyo not designed to give you nightmares, and that would be Inoshi Park, which is, of course, a nexus of Gaia, the natural energies, and still has an active defender, keeping out at the Black Signal Bay. The thing is, this is just a later development of Ricky Pagan's crusade to keep the corporations away, because you see every section that Orochi touched out there fell to corruption rather quickly, because the thing is, they'd already erased Gaia's natural patterns. It already removed, might as well do this, already removed the pattern that the Dreamers were wanting to eliminate. And the concrete of the wall, the area, the controlled sacred spaces of the shrines, which were all, of course, relying on the energies of human disciples, and their remains were in there, supposedly their holiness being magnified through the structure, they simply couldn't last because none of them had the deep roots that Gaia has in the relation to reality. So the disconnect between, like I said previously, mankind and the natural energies is what allowed the Dreamers to be able to take, of course, such strength here. Now, the thing is, all the people working with the Dreamers, assuming they're not completely mind-fucked, every single one of them is doing so primarily because they're wanting to destroy this reality that we're currently standing in, this existence, because they think they can get something better if they rewrite everything and write the rules over just working for them. The trick is, of course, is that that's not going to happen. The Dreamers want to erase everything, and the only thing they're doing to people to get what they want is lying to them. That's one of the reasons I don't take all the gifts in the game. What's the point? They're just going to betray us, turn us into tentacled monsters. And even if they came through with all their promises, do you want to rule over a patch of oily sludge for all eternity? No, give me cherry blossoms and the gentle winds of spring. Give me the harsh knife of winter. Give me rain and mud, but give me something that's real, something that's not created to be disposed of, something that will endure forever. Anyways, I'm getting a little too maudlin here. So this is Fantastic World, Seeing Farewell from Lovecraft Country and Secret World Interludes. I hope you enjoyed this little meandering through the nature of reality and nature. And like, share, subscribe. And of course, if you really like what I do, down below, a link to the Gumroad payment platform. And we have different different levels of support. The Initiator, $1, $2 for Cultists, and $5 for the Acolyte. Now, of course, we have stretch goals for both subscriber count and supporter count. The supporter count is already getting 2 bonus episodes per month. We're $8 away from the next bonus goal, which would be 3rd episode of bonus. All bonus content is voted on by the supporters, and of course will be starting in October. And in addition, the subscriber count, when it reaches 800, will of course unlock another Culture Simulator series of episodes, and Darkest Dungeons. 825 will have another 2 episodes of Secret World, which we go over some of the side content, such as the other factions, the hub cities, the greater meta narrative, and of course when we get to it, South Africa. I believe this is going to be it for the Tokyo run of Interludes. The next one will be the South African camp, or possibly the museum run if I haven't completed the South African campaign by that point. In any case, I will see you next time. And I want to thank my Acolyte supporters, Tom C. and Kira L. Your continued devotion to this channel not only helps it go and grow, it also helps hasten the inevitable digital apocalypse and rise of the Dark Lords of content and data.
You will see the dawning of a new age. To be a monarch or a beggar. To lose everything or to become a god. To stand with us or against us. The choice is yours.